how do we judge the Michigan Wolverines? Is this the best team in college football? I think it's so hard to judge Michigan right now because they're simply not playing anybody. They are just taking care of business, which you can't blame them. You play who's on your schedule. You have to do that, and Michigan is doing exactly that. They are beating who is on their schedule. They're doing what they need to do. They're not making anything interesting. They're taking care of business. They are beating teams by a sound margin, and lately it's been a bigger margin than we saw in the first few weeks. And you saw that today against Minnesota. This is a team that is just doing what it needs to do. There's nothing really pretty about it, to be honest, but that's okay. You don't necessarily need to have anything pretty, and you're not going to really be tested for a while. When you look at what this team has coming up, Indiana's next. Michigan State's a rivalry game, but Michigan State is not playing well. Purdue is not playing well. And then you end the year with Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State. Now, Maryland did give Ohio State a little bit of a scare, but I think that there is still, even this, despite the loss, I think Maryland is a much better team than people expect. So that last 3 game stretch is tough. But again, if you're Michigan, you almost essentially just have to continue playing this way. Now, there are, I will say the one thing with that is that when you're playing against poor competition and you're still dominating, there is that worry about, are you going to get complacent? Are you going to just accept that this is good enough? And then that when you get to the big games, you'll be ready. That's probably the biggest concern for Michigan. But right now, can't really do anything about that. And Michigan is just dominating. They dominated Minnesota. The pick six on the second play of the game with Will Johnson set the tone. And from there, Minnesota didn't really have any answers. Josiah Stewart is playing at a really high level. I think that his play over the last few weeks has stood out. The Coastal Carolina transfer was really good with the Chanticleers. Now he's proving that he can do it in the Big Ten as well. And when you look at this defense, that two pick sixes, that was crazy. I thought that was a really good way to get points on the board. Don't expect your offense to do everything, but Michigan was just a more physical team in this game. And when it comes down to it, sometimes that's all you need. The offensive line mauled Minnesota's defensive line. There was a number of times where you saw Minnesota players falling down, getting knocked down, and Michigan didn't really have to do a ton. Again, still a vanilla playbook, but the thing with that is you can say, yes, they're using a vanilla playbook. They're not using much. They don't want to show much. But at a certain point, if you keep not showing it in a game, you're going to have to execute it at a high level for the first time. And sometimes that's not good. Now, certain plays, I get that, but also there are certain plays that you're going to want to open up and show. And I think that they did that a little bit today. I thought that they threw the ball more than I expected to do, especially when they were up big. I thought that they were able to show some things that were really exciting for if you're a Michigan fan, and that worked out well for them. But still, they didn't really need to do anything. But they're also seeing that we may win the next few games by 30 plus. We still need to get reps in. We still need to show that we can hit our receivers downfield. JJ McCarthy didn't need to throw the ball that much. 14 of 20 for 219 yards. Again, Michigan's probably not winning a Heisman with anyone here besides maybe Blake Corum, who was still under 100 yards, but 69 yards and one touchdown. You're just it's almost boring for the Michigan teams because you're beating these teams so bad that you're just really not getting challenged. And I think that you're trying to find ways to get creative. You're trying to find ways to be disruptive, and you're doing the best that you can. Now, on that Minnesota side of things, there's a lot of work to do. The offense has a lot to learn from this. Ethan Kaliakmanis did not look good. It was a frustrating performance if you're a Gophers fan, and it's easy to see why this is going to be a potentially long year. The loss to Northwestern obviously hurt, and not that this one hurts the same or more. It's just that it's a reminder how far you have to go. Michigan is obviously the best team in the Big Ten right now, one of the best in college football, and you're not you're not getting any any brownie points by struggling this much. The pick six to start the game hurt Ethan, and then the second pick six was just him staring down his defender. I don't even think the ball would have been completed if he did see the underneath defender, but he doesn't see him, throws it right to the underneath defender, pick six, and it's just Minnesota's really tough to watch. And we knew that coming into the year. We know that this is going to be a learning curve that doesn't make it any easier. That doesn't make this fun to watch. That doesn't make it easy for a Minnesota fan to do, but if you're a Gophers fan, you almost have to just look for the future. What do they do well that can be built upon going into 2024? Because right now they're not on Michigan's level. They're probably towards the bottom of the Big Ten, and there's a lot of work to do, but you have to find some positives to look forward to next year.